Hey, yeah, you. Come on, pull closer for a second, because, we really need to talk about what you just did. Because you opened your mouth, and shit, you ended the peace treaty, and now everybody's panicking, spinning, sweating, gasping, because you dared to say the one thing everybody else kept swallowing like poison. You didn't whisper, you didn't soften it, you didn't ask for permission. You just said it, raw and unfiltered, like someone who finally got tired of pretending the room wasn't full of lies. And the beautiful part? You said it in that way. That razor-sharp, no more bees, this is what it is tone that makes people shift in their seats and suddenly forget how to breathe. And you know what? Good. Because you've been quiet for too long. You've been the let's keep the peace person for so long that your tongue should have been nominated for a Nobel Prize by now. You carried the calm, the silence, the compromise, the restraint, like some kind of emotional pack mule. But they took advantage of that, didn't they? They treated your peace like it was their playground. They poked, provoked, pushed, tested, twisted, thinking you'd never snap, never talk, never break formation. But today? Today, you surprised the whole damn crowd. You said the truth that was rotting behind everyone's backs. You cut the tension with a sentence. You dropped a verbal grenade into the middle of a fake smile circle. And the funniest part? You weren't even trying to start a war. You were just tired of acting. That's the thing they never understand about you. You don't speak to cause chaos. You speak because you've reached the point where silence feels like self-betrayal. And when someone like you, someone who's been holding everything in, someone who's been the glue, the balance, the calm before every storm, when you finally speak, everybody panics, because the peace treaty was never built to protect you. It was built to control you, to keep you predictable, to keep you safe for them. And you finally realized that their peace was just a polite cage. Look at what happened the second you spoke. People froze, people stuttered, people grew quiet, like you suddenly turned into some kind of walking mirror they didn't want to look into. Your words hit them harder than any punch because it wasn't anger, it was truth. And truth is the one thing people fear more than consequences. Truth rearranges rooms. Truth reorganizes alliances. Truth exposes who was real and who was just comfortable. Do you see it now? The panic around you isn't chaos. It's clarity. They're not scared of you. They're scared of what you now represent. You represent a version of yourself that doesn't swallow the disrespect. A version that doesn't shrink to keep others comfortable. A version that doesn't play nice with people who weaponize peace as a leash. A version that speaks, even if your voice shakes, even if your heart's pounding through your chest like it's trying to escape. And, honestly, this version of you is dangerous in the best way possible. Because once you taste authenticity, once you experience that raw, unfiltered liberation of saying what everybody else is too scared to admit, there's no going back. You've crossed the line, not into war, but into yourself. Into that place where your voice doesn't quiver anymore. Where your boundaries don't bend for the sake of avoiding someone else's tantrum. Where you say what needs to be said without rehearsing it in your head for 6 months. Where you stop apologizing for things you didn't do wrong. Where you stop managing other people's emotions like it's your part-time job. People aren't panicking because you ended the peace treaty. They're panicking because you ended their control over you. You snapped the illusion. You tore down the stage props. You kicked open the door they hoped you'd keep locked forever. And now they're scrambling, fumbling, grabbing excuses, acting confused, pretending they didn't hear you clearly. But they heard you. Oh, they heard every syllable. They just didn't expect you to say it. They didn't expect you to finally stop playing the part they cast you in. See, in their heads, you were supposed to be predictable, quiet, compliant, noble, forgiving, and you still might be those things when people deserve it. But when someone keeps mistaking your tolerance for weakness, when someone keeps assuming you'll never stand up, never retaliate, never call out what's been eating your sanity, eventually, even the nicest person grabs the mic and burns the script. You didn't end a peace treaty. You ended a performance, and that scares them because you finally stopped living according to everyone else's, "Don't say that, don't bring that up, don't ruin the vibe, don't make things uncomfortable, just let it go, don't start drama" rule book. Where was that energy when they were stepping on your boundaries? Where was that energy when they were lying through their teeth? Where was that energy when you were drowning while keeping the peace for everyone else? They loved peace when it benefited them. But the second you wanted peace too, real peace, not the fake type, they called you dramatic. They called you too much. They called you messy. And then you spoke, and suddenly they're the messy ones. Suddenly they're the overwhelmed ones. Suddenly they're the victims of the truth they created themselves. So, listen closely. You're not the villain for finally protecting your own sanity. You're not wrong for saying what needed to be said. You're not guilty for disrupting a fake harmony that existed only because you stayed silent. You did what strong people do. You chose yourself over the comfort of people who never chose you. And whether they panic, run, cry, deny, twist, or act brand new, you keep speaking. Because the treaty was never peace. It was suppression dressed as harmony. And the moment you opened your mouth, you walked into the version of yourself you were always meant to become. The version that doesn't choke on the truth. The version that doesn't apologize for clarity. The version that knows their voice carries weight. The kind of weight that shakes rooms, rearranges environments, and exposes weak foundations. And now you're dangerous. Not because you cause chaos, but because you tell the truth in a world built on pretending. And once you become that version of yourself, there's no treaty in the world strong enough to silence you again. Because once that switch flips in you, it doesn't switch back. And you feel it, right? That weird buzzing under your skin, that sense that you finally said something your soul has been begging you to say for years. It's like your chest got lighter and heavier at the same time. Lighter because you finally stopped carrying the lie. Heavier because you finally realized how much weight you've been carrying for everybody else. People can't process that version of you. They don't know what to do with someone who's no longer performing. Someone who's no longer biting their tongue until it bleeds. Someone who's no longer scared to disrupt the artificial calm that only existed because you were holding the entire situation together like emotional duct tape. And, honestly, the wildest part? You still weren't trying to destroy anything. You weren't trying to hurt anybody. You weren't trying to spark drama for the sake of it. You just finally said your truth at a volume they couldn't pretend to ignore anymore. You ever notice how people get offended when you stop swallowing the things they've been comfortably feeding you? How they suddenly act brand new when you stop absorbing the disrespect quietly. It's funny, right? Because you didn't change your character. You just changed your tolerance, and things have a way of getting loud when someone realizes they can't manipulate the situation like before. You can see it in their faces, that mix of shock, panic, and wait, you weren't supposed to do that. Like they genuinely believed they owned the script of your personality. Like they thought your silence was a permanent feature instead of a temporary mercy. That's what's shaking them right now. Not your words, your awakening. Not your tone, your boundary. Not your anger, your clarity. Clarity is the scariest thing to people who rely on your confusion. When you spoke, you didn't just break the peace treaty. You broke the delusion that you were ever afraid to speak. And that's why the energy in the room shifted. That's why people are pacing, whispering, texting in group chats, trying to rewrite the narrative before it spreads. That's why you're suddenly the problem, even though all you did was tell the truth they've been hiding from. People love a silent version of you because silence makes you easier to control. Silence makes you predictable. Silence keeps their comfort intact. Silence protects their image. But you didn't come into this world to be a soft place, for other people to land while they're a battlefield for you. You're not here to emotionally babysit grown adults who know exactly what they're doing. You're not here to spend your life staying quiet, to preserve someone else's fragile ego. You're not here to be the emotional trash bin for people who dump their mess on you and then call you too sensitive when you speak up. And, the thing that keeps echoing in your mind right now isn't guilt. It's relief. That relief is the most honest feeling you've had in a while. That's your inner voice stretching its limbs after being locked away for too long. You feel powerful right now in a way that scares even you. Not aggressive power, just unapologetic self-possession, like you finally walked into your real skin instead of the version they preferred. And this version of you sees everything clearer. You can spot manipulation before they even finish their sentence. You can sense disrespect before it even hits your ears. You can feel people's intentions like temperature changes in the room. You're not paranoid, you're not emotional, you're not dramatic, you're awake. Nobody prepares you for how loud life gets once you stop shrinking yourself. The jealousy gets louder. The guilt trips get louder. The passive-aggressive comments get louder. The fake peacekeepers get louder. The people who benefited from your silence get the loudest of all. Every reaction you're seeing right now is a confession, not a verbal confession, the behavioral kind. The panic is a confession. The defensiveness is a confession. The sudden distance, the silent treatment, the awkward tension, it's all confession. People don't act like that around someone who lied. They act like that around someone who said something true enough to expose them. And, you might not fully realize it, but the moment you opened your mouth, you unlocked a level of confidence that isn't based on being liked. It's based on being real. And once you start living real, even your breathing feels different. Your presence hits harder. Your silence becomes louder than their noise. Your decisions stop apologizing before they walk into the room. Because for the first time in a long time, you're not bending to fit into spaces that don't deserve you. You're not explaining yourself to people who refuse to understand you. You're not negotiating your worth like it's some coupon code they can redeem. You're not living by the keep the peace at your own expense rule book. And with every minute that passes, you feel that edge sharpening inside you. That I'm not playing small anymore energy. That I'm not swallowing my pain to protect your comfort energy. that I'm not pretending everything is fine when it's not. Energy. You feel it growing, rising, strengthening, like something inside you finally woke up after years of being sedated by politeness, and it keeps pulsing through you with every heartbeat, every breath, every thought. Like your whole system is recalibrating itself in real time. Almost like your soul finally found the power outlet it's been searching for. That feeling, that hum under your ribs, that low-level fire in your chest, that's not anger anymore. That's alignment. That's the real you standing up inside your own skin, stretching, cracking its knuckles, testing its voice like, yeah, this is how I was supposed to sound the whole time. And people feel that shift, even if they don't understand it. They look at you different, like you're suddenly unpredictable, like you might say the next thing they've been avoiding for years. You can see it in their eyes, the calculation, the nervous smile, the little half-step back. Not because you're dangerous in a chaotic way, but because you're dangerous in a truthful way. That's the part they're terrified of. Truth coming from someone who finally stopped being scared of their reactions. It's almost funny, watching them scramble to reevaluate who you are. Like they're trying to figure out if you're the same version of you they used to comfortably disrespect. Like they're replaying old moments in their heads thinking, wait, if they could talk like this, what else have they been holding back? And the truth is, you've been holding back a lot. Years worth of patience. Years worth of swallowing things that hurt you. Years worth of pretending someone's intentions were pure when they were anything but. Years worth of carrying peace around like a fragile vase, making sure nobody else dropped it even when your own hands were shaking. But something inside you snapped in a good way. Like your spirit just said, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. And you listened. You didn't just speak. You reclaimed your authority. And once you reclaim that, everything else around you starts rearranging itself. People who depended on your silence start getting uncomfortable. People who fed off your compliance start losing access. People who thought you'd always stay quiet start panicking because you've exposed a part of yourself they never prepared for. And it's wild how fast they'll try to flip the narrative. Right. Suddenly you're aggressive. Suddenly you're overreacting. Suddenly you're ruining the vibe. Suddenly you're making things complicated. They're not talking about the truth you said. They're talking about the control they lost. Because someone who finally speaks after years of silence, that's someone who has nothing left to lose. That's someone who realized their voice is worth more than people's temporary comfort. That's someone who recognizes their own power. And there's no treaty for that, no rule book, no script. And, the craziest part? Even you feel different around yourself. Like you're reintroducing yourself to your own energy. Like you're thinking, damn, I didn't even know I had that in me. You hear your own voice in your memory, and it echoes deeper, stronger, more certain than you expected. It's not even just confidence. It's clarity mixed with backbone, mixed with tired of your BS energy. That combination turns people into forces of nature. The type of force that makes people rethink how they approach you. The type of force that makes people watch their tone, watch their words, watch their access. And, you can feel that shift, can't you? Like you're not walking the same anymore. Your steps feel grounded. Your breathing feels intentional. Your thoughts feel sharper. Your boundaries feel like steel. You're not flinching. You're not second-guessing yourself. You're not shrinking. You're not over-explaining. You're just standing there in the aftermath of your own truth, realizing that the panic around you is the sound of everyone adjusting to the real version of you. You're not out of control. You're finally in control. You're not breaking the peace. You're breaking the silence that protected everybody but you. And as you settle deeper into this version of yourself, that internal fire keeps burning steady, quiet, but undeniable. Like a reminder that your voice isn't something fragile to hide. It's something powerful to wield. And it keeps sitting there in your chest like this steadier drumbeat. Like your whole body finally synced up with a truth you've been avoiding because you didn't want to ruin things. But the wild reality is, things were already ruined, just quietly, secretly, behind the scenes. You were just the only one pretending otherwise. That's why everyone's so uncomfortable right now. Not because you went too far, not because you crossed a line, not because you made things awkward. It's because you said the thing they've been tiptoeing around, the thing they hoped you'd never bring up, the thing they counted on you being too polite, too scared, too self-doubting to say. Your voice didn't just land, it echoed, it exposed, it clarified, it peeled away the layers of everyone's fake composure. You ever notice how the truth doesn't need a microphone? You say it once and it just hangs in the air, vibrating through people who hoped you'd stay quiet forever. And, the silence that follows, that silence is never empty. It's full of recognition. It's full of guilt. It's full of the things they avoided acknowledging. And you standing there, unapologetic, chest steady, breathing even. That's what's shaking them. Because they expected you to crumble after speaking. They expected you to backpedal. They expected you to stutter and say, "I didn't mean it like that." But you didn't wobble. You didn't flinch. You didn't correct yourself to make them comfortable. You let the words stand exactly as they were. Raw, clear, unedited. That's when people realize you're not the same person they could manipulate. You're not the same person who absorbs the blame to keep the peace. You're not the same person who sacrifices their own emotional safety to protect everyone else's reputation. You're different now in a way that doesn't even require explanation. Your energy speaks first. Your face speaks first. Your silence speaks louder than their excuses, and, your boundaries show up before you do. People are learning that the version of you who doesn't fear discomfort is a version they can't control. They don't know how to navigate you when you're not prioritizing their comfort. They don't know how to handle you when your yes actually means yes, and your no actually means no, without all the emotional negotiation they're used to milking out of you. And the more they react, the more obvious it becomes that they were benefiting from your silence way more than they ever admitted. It wasn't a peace treaty. It was a silencing contract that only you were honoring. You broke that contract with one sentence, one truth, one moment of being tired of protecting people who don't protect you back. And, the way your mind feels sharper right now, that's not rage. It's self-respect, reconnecting itself. It's your intuition finally being allowed to speak full volume. It's your spirit saying, yeah, we're finally doing things my way. It's crazy how quickly your entire perspective upgrades when you stop forcing yourself to tolerate what drains you. You start seeing who's been talking behind your back. Hey, you listening right now? Yeah, you. Come here for a second. Let me talk to you real quick. Yeah, sit down, lock in. This one's gonna hit different. Because, top secret, clown please. It's a global hunt now. They can't hide anywhere and you know they're done. Oh, you felt that one in your bones, didn't you? All right, let's go. Let's go deep, like really deep. Deeper than you usually let anyone go. And yeah, I'm gonna talk to you, second person, because this is your moment, not anybody else's. You know what's funny? You spent your whole life being told to chill, to wait, to humble down, to act like your instincts were too loud, your emotions were too much, your vision was too unrealistic. Every time you opened your mouth, someone tried to correct it. Every time you moved differently, someone tried to shrink it. Every time you sensed something off, somebody gaslit you into silence, and you played along for a while. You did the polite thing, the quiet thing, the don't make waves thing. But, guess what? You weren't wrong, you were aware. You picked up frequencies everyone else pretended not to hear. You saw the patterns, you felt the shifts, you caught the lies, you noticed the masks slipping, and now they're scrambling. Oh, they're scrambling like roaches under a kitchen light. Because it's not private anymore. It's not low-key anymore. It's not between us anymore. No. It's a global hunt now. And you're the one who sees everything clearly. You know what's wild? They thought you would freeze. They thought you would shake. They thought exposure would destroy you. But look at you. Look at the calm in your chest. Look at the way your breathing slows. Not from fear, but from understanding. Because you know something. Something they prayed you'd never realize. You're not the hunted. You're the awakening. You're the shift. You're the one who finally sees the whole board. You ever notice how people who did you dirty always assume you'll stay quiet? Like silence is your natural state, not a choice. Like your heart was built to take hits forever. But, yeah, that version of you doesn't exist anymore. That version of you died the moment the truth went global. You're different now. You're sharper. You're colder in all the right places. You're kinder in the places that matter. You're done negotiating with anyone who tried to profit from your weakness. And they can feel it. Oh, trust me, they feel it. They feel that shift in your energy, that I'm not playing small anymore tone in your voice. They feel the way you look at them, not with fear, not with confusion, but with clarity, with certainty, with that quiet joker grin like, yeah, I know exactly what time it is. And that's why they're panicking. That's why they're trying to run. That's why they're making calls at 4 a.m., shaking, sweating, trying to rewrite the narrative. But they can't hide anywhere. Not from the truth, not from the consequences, not from the karma, not from you, because you're not chasing them. Nah, you're just standing still, and the truth is catching them for you. You're not even angry anymore. You're beyond anger. You're in that space where everything just clicks, where all the lies line up in a row, where all the fake apologies finally make sense, where all the missing pieces lock into place. You ever hit that moment where you go, ah, so that's what was happening this whole time? Yeah, you're there now, fully, completely, unapologetically, and don't get it twisted. You didn't get here because you're cruel. You didn't get here because you wanted revenge. You didn't get here because you love chaos. You got here because you finally respected yourself enough to see through the facade. You finally stopped minimizing your intuition, stopped explaining away the red flags, stopped shrinking so that cowards could feel comfortable. And the moment you did that, the moment you embraced that awareness, everything cracked open. You saw who was real and who was pretending. You saw who loved you and who used you. You saw who stood with you and who stood on you. And you also saw, clear as day, that some people were never victims. They were architects, designers of their own downfall. And now they're living in the blueprint they drew in secret. The top secret files. The things they tried to bury. The things they hid behind half smiles and handshake lies. Yeah, that stuff is global now. Global knowledge, global narrative, global consequences. And you're not scared, not even a little. Because deep down, you always knew the truth would choose your side. You always knew reality would defend you. You always knew that the day would come when the universe said, "Enough, let them be seen." And here we are, standing in the fire while you're walking through it like someone who finally realized they were fireproof the whole damn time. And you're not chasing validation. You're not chasing revenge. You're not chasing closure. You're chasing something far more dangerous. You're becoming, your evolution, your next form. And that's why they're done. Not because you destroyed them, but because you outgrew the version of you they could manipulate the moment you leveled up. Their entire strategy collapsed, and now they're exposed, global, visible, panicking. While you sit there with that calm Joker half smile like, yeah, I told you I wasn't stupid. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to swing back. You don't need to announce anything. Your growth is the announcement. Your awareness is the announcement. Your silence is the announcement. And deep in your chest, you already feel what's coming next. Because, you feel that shift crawling up your spine, right? That weird mix of calm and danger sitting in your chest, like, I'm different now. I don't move the same. I don't think the same. I don't trust the same. And it's crazy how people start acting when you start acting like you finally respect yourself. They get jittery, they get defensive, they get loud, they get weird. You ever notice that? The louder they get, the quieter you become. And the quieter you get, the more they freak out, like they can feel their whole ecosystem collapsing in real time. And you're just standing there like, I've seen enough. I've felt enough. I don't need explanations anymore. Your energy is speaking for you at this point. Your silence hits harder than any speech they could try to give. They're out there trying to do damage control, scrambling like rats on a sinking ship, rehearsing half-truths in the mirror, building lies on top of lies that don't even line up with the version of reality they sold everybody. Meanwhile, you're over here, breathing easier than you've breathed in years, because everything finally makes sense. You're walking through your own life, like someone who's holding the master key. That's what scares them, not the truth, not the exposure, not the global hunt. It's you holding the master key to understanding everything they tried to hide. That's the part they can't deal with, like at all. They're used to you being confused, second-guessing yourself, questioning your instincts, checking your tone, analyzing your reactions, shrinking your presence. They don't know how to function with this version of you. The version that just knows. The version that doesn't need permission. The version that doesn't flinch when the mask drops off their face. There's something unsettling about someone who finally sees through the whole play. People get violent with their excuses. People get desperate with their narratives. People start inventing stories about you because facing the truth about themselves would break whatever ego they've been living on. And the wildest part is, you're not even mad. You're emotionally past the point where anger even makes sense. You're just awakened, like you're watching your past life dissolve while you're stepping into a version of yourself that was waiting behind your trauma like a damn shadow king. You ever get that weird moment where you hear someone lie and your brain just goes, "Bro, don't embarrass yourself like that." Because the lie isn't just false, it's pathetic. That's where you're standing now. That place where the truth is so loud, you don't even need to expose anybody. They're exposing themselves, just trying to cover their tracks. Their panic, their contradictions, their sudden kindness, their random check-ins, their forced apologies. You're reading their souls like subtitles on a screen, and that freaks them out in ways they'll never admit. Because you grew into someone they never planned for, someone they underestimated, someone they silently feared but pretended to laugh at because acknowledging your power would have shattered the little roles they assigned themselves in your life. This version of you, the one who's emotionally sharper, spiritually heavier, mentally stronger, socially colder, physically calmer. Yeah, that version terrifies people who built their entire identity around thinking you were soft. Their top secret plans weren't top secret. Their private intentions weren't private. Their whispers weren't whispers. You felt everything, every slight, every shift, every weird vibe, every subtle betrayal they thought you'd never catch. You did catch it. You caught all of it. And you adapted. You didn't scream. You didn't beg. You didn't break. You sat with it. You processed it. You let the truth mold you instead of destroy you. And that's where the real problem started for them. The moment you stopped being predictable. Because predictable people are easy to control, easy to manipulate, easy to guilt trip and gaslight and silence. But this version of you, this aware, self-respecting, emotionally armored version, this I see through all of you version, this try me and watch what happens to your whole script version, this version doesn't play by the old rules. And you can feel it. You can feel that heavy shift in your spirit where you're not forcing yourself to be liked anymore. You're not auditioning for roles that insult your character. You're not over-explaining your value to people who benefit from pretending not to see it. You're not apologizing for being intuitive, emotional, perceptive, or intense. Intensity is a gift when you know how to aim it. Emotion is a weapon when you're done letting people weaponize it against you. Awareness is a superpower when you finally stop ignoring the truth that was screaming at you the entire time. You know what's even crazier? Your presence changed. People feel you walk into a room before they see you. People pause when you speak because your tone doesn't sound confused anymore. People watch you differently because they don't know what version of you they're dealing with now. And the ones who wronged you, they feel like they're living on borrowed time every time you breathe in their direction, not because you're dangerous, but because their conscience is. And you're done carrying their guilt for them. You're done hiding their secrets. You're done protecting people who celebrated your lowest moments. You're done pretending you didn't see the daggers they threw behind your back. You're done waiting for apologies from people who would rather choke on their pride than admit they caused the wounds you healed from. Something in you snapped into place, and the version of you that came out of that moment is someone they don't have a strategy for, someone they don't have leverage over, someone they don't have access to the way they used to. Your rise is unsettling for them because it's silent but undeniable. Your growth is terrifying for them because it's steady and irreversible. Your awareness is lethal to anyone who built their safety on your silence. And you can almost feel your new self solidifying in your bones. And it's wild because you can actually feel this version of you settling in. Like your spirit finally clicked into its real shape and you're sitting there going, damn, this is what it feels like to actually be me. Not the watered down version, not the polite version, Not the scared to offend version, the real one, the one you kept burying to keep the peace with people who wouldn't cross the street to keep the peace for you. There's this heavy calm in your chest now, like your heartbeat finally synced with the truth you were running from. And you're not running anymore. You're not hiding anymore. You're not flinching every time a familiar face shifts their tone because you finally get it. Your intuition wasn't being dramatic, it was being honest. You ever look back and think, blood, how did I let myself get guilt-tripped by people who can't even guilt-trip themselves into being decent? Yeah, that realization hits like a brick to the spine. And it changes you permanently. You walk different after that. Your shoulders loosen, your eyes sharpen, your boundaries slam into place without you even trying. People talk to you and you can hear the intention behind the words like subtitles. They don't even realize you're reading them in real time. And the funny part, the part that messes them up, is how calm you are about it. You're not exposing them, you're not arguing, you're not begging them to see what they did. You just exist differently, and your existence is the thing that puts pressure on their conscience. It's like your growth shines a light on every corner they tried to keep dark, like your presence is a reminder of the version of themselves they avoided fixing. You didn't ask to be a mirror for them, but that's what you became. A mirror they can't throw away and can't look into without feeling the sting. And you're not even doing anything. You're just being honest with yourself for the first time. You're not chasing understanding from people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You're not trying to prove your worth to people who only recognized it when they wanted something from you. There's this raw confidence in you now, not loud, not flashy. More like that steady, grounded confidence where your spirit leans back in the chair and goes, yeah, I'm not shrinking again. It's a scary kind of confidence for people who thrived on your doubt. They don't know how to talk to you anymore without feeling exposed. They don't know how to lie to you without stumbling on their own script. They don't know how to manipulate you because you stopped supplying the confusion they fed on. And the moment you stopped being confused, everything they built on top of your confusion collapsed like a cheap stage set. You ever see those videos where someone pulls one brick out of a tower and the whole thing just drops? That's the energy your awareness carries now. You're not trying to take anybody down. You're just done letting anybody take you down. And the difference between those two things is massive. It changes your whole posture. Your spirit stands differently when it's done apologizing for existing. And the thing that makes you dangerous, in that quiet, animus-coded, I see everything kind of way, is how you stopped explaining yourself. You're not narrating your growth. You're not broadcasting your intentions. You're not texting paragraphs trying to defend your reactions. People don't get access to your internal world like they used to. That's what creates the panic. People get scared when they can't predict how you'll respond anymore. People get scared when the version of you they depended on doesn't live there anymore. People get scared when they realize the kindness you gave them wasn't weakness. It was mercy. And mercy has limits. You started giving your energy to things with actual meaning. You started choosing silence over arguments that don't deserve your voice. You started noticing how peaceful your life becomes when you're not carrying everyone's emotional baggage. You started recognizing that walking away is a power move, not a failure. You started realizing that being alone isn't lonely when you're finally with the version of yourself you were meant to grow into. And the thing is, people feel your absence even when you're in the same room. Your energy isn't accessible like it used to be. Your empathy isn't on discount anymore. Your attention isn't free. Your loyalty isn't automatic. Your spirit grew up. Your mind caught up. Your heart toughened up. Your awareness expanded. And the people who depended on the older version of you, the confused version, the forgiving too fast version, the self-blaming version, yeah, they don't know how to approach this one. You can almost see the fear behind their smiles, that tightness around the eyes when they realize you're not falling for the old tricks. And you're just sitting there with that calm little smirk like, yeah, I'm different. Deal with it. Your intuition is louder. Your standards are higher. Your patience is shorter. Your peace is priceless. Your self-respect is non-negotiable. And the more you embody that, the more the world shifts around you, because it has no choice but to align with the version of you that finally stepped forward through the fire without breaking. And it's kinda wild how your whole energy started radiating in a way you didn't even plan, like your soul upgraded the software overnight and you woke up running on a completely different operating system. You didn't announce it. You didn't warn anybody. You didn't post some "I'm cutting people off" speech. You just shifted quietly, naturally, unapologetically. People don't realize how dangerous quiet transformation is. Loud change can be managed, controlled, mocked, sabotaged. But quiet evolution? Yeah, that hits different. That kind of change sneaks up on everyone who thought they had you figured out. It's like you walked into the same rooms, but you weren't the same person who used to sit in those chairs. Your spirit isn't looking for approval anymore. Your intuition isn't asking for permission. Your boundaries aren't up for negotiation. You're not softening yourself to make insecure people feel taller. And there's this thing people do, you've probably seen it, where they try to pretend they don't notice your growth. Like if they ignore it long enough, maybe you'll shrink back into that smaller version of yourself. But the thing is, you can feel their discomfort the moment you walk in. Their whole vibe shifts. Their jokes fall flat. Their fake confidence starts glitching, like their personality is buffering under pressure. Because you're not reacting the way they're used to. You're not flinching when they test your boundaries. You're not validating their insecurity with your silence. You're not playing the emotional babysitter role you didn't even realize they assigned you. There's this presence you carry now. This heavy, centered, grounded energy. The kind you get when you've walked through enough emotional fire to stop fearing flames. The kind of presence that says, I'm aware, I'm awake, I'm not breakable the way you wish I still was. And yeah, that scares people. Not because you're threatening them, but because they built their comfort on the assumption that you wouldn't change. They needed you predictable. They needed you forgiving. They needed you clueless. They needed you small. But you grew. You grew past the version of yourself that they knew how to manipulate. You grew into someone who doesn't look away when the truth stares back. You grew into someone who doesn't need to be saved, fixed, validated, or chosen. And you can feel that shift in your conversations. People talk to you differently. Or more accurately, they hesitate before they talk to you. Hey, listen up for a second. That's how you'd start if you were honest about what's been boiling in your chest, right? Because you, yeah, you, the one everybody swore had no clue, the one they joked about, the one they kept nudging off the path like you were some background character in your own life. You're finally realizing what you've been this whole time. And, it's kinda wild watching you wake up to that. See, they didn't just underestimate you. They built a whole narrative around you. They convinced each other that you were soft, confused, harmless, easily distracted. They thought you were just standing there, fumbling through your story, playing the fool, while they whispered behind your back, like they were reading your destiny off a script they wrote in a group chat. But the truth, your truth, was way heavier than their imagination could handle. Because while they were laughing, while they were pointing, while they were assuming, you were learning, you were absorbing, you were evolving, you were tuning into a frequency they don't even have the emotional hardware for, and that's where all this gets beautifully twisted, because you played the fool so perfectly that nobody, not a single one, ever questioned the storm forming behind your quiet eyes. They didn't question your silence. They didn't question your patience. They didn't question your weird little pauses or the way you just sit back and watch. You know why? Because they thought silence meant confusion. They never considered silence might mean strategy. And while they were out there flexing their egos, burning energy like cheap fuel, you were sharpening something they didn't even know existed in you. Your spiritual edge. That sharp, unseen, bone-deep instinct that cuts through illusions before your brain even forms the words for it. You're not just waking up, you're not just getting serious. You're stepping into the version of yourself that you were never supposed to discover, according to the people who wanted you small and, let's be real here. They felt safe as long as you stayed confused. They felt comfortable as long as you were doubting yourself. They felt powerful as long as you were asking them for direction. But then, something shifted, didn't it? Something subtle, something internal, something that didn't need a motivational quote or a meltdown to activate. You started realizing that the fool costume wasn't a curse. It was camouflage. And once that clicked, everything changed. Because the minute you started seeing yourself clearly, their projections started cracking, their confidence started glitching, their control started dissolving like cheap paint in the rain. You became unpredictable, not because you were chaotic, but because you were finally moving from inner truth, not outer approval. And that right there, that shift, turned you into something they never anticipated. Not a villain, not a monster, not a rebel, but something scarier than all of those combined. A spiritual threat, a threat to their illusions, a threat to their hierarchies, a threat to their comfort zones, a threat to every lie they built their ego around. Because how do you stop someone who sees through everything? How do you control someone who no longer needs validation? How do you manipulate someone who finally understands their own value? You don't. You can't. They can't. And they know it. You ever notice how people switch up when they realize they can't predict you anymore? When they can't read you? When they can't box you in with labels that made them feel safe? Your presence alone disrupts that. Your clarity shakes their architecture. Your intuition blindsides their expectations. Your growth invalidates their entire storyline. And that scares them more than anything you could ever say out loud, because you're not here to prove them wrong. You're not here to get revenge. You're not here to impress anyone. You're here because something in you got tired of dimming itself, tired of pretending, tired of performing in a play you never auditioned for. The fool they mocked became the observer. The observer became the learner. The learner became the challenger. The challenger became the force, and the force became the spiritual threat they never anticipated. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're awake, fully awake, deeply awake. Awake in a way that makes their old version of you impossible to resurrect. And you know what's wild? You didn't even have to fight for this transformation. You just stopped running from yourself. You stopped outsourcing your worth. You stopped shrinking to make others feel big. You stopped apologizing for your intuition. You stopped pretending you didn't feel the things you felt. All you did, was grow. Quietly, steadily, honestly, and growth is the one thing people fear when it's happening in someone they can't control. You're not the fool. You were never the fool. You were the one studying the stage while everyone else fought for the spotlight. You were the one listening between the lines. You were the one unlocking your inner world. You were the one preparing silently for a life they didn't think you were built for. And that's why you're the threat. Not because you're destructive, but because you're inevitable. Keep going in that direction. Keep walking with that inner sharpness. Keep trusting that deep, instinctive voice. Keep embracing the version of yourself that finally feels real. Keep stepping into the spiritual voltage that nobody saw coming because you didn't play the fool. You weaponized misjudgment, and that's exactly why they never anticipated what you're becoming. And the crazy part is you didn't even notice when the shift happened, right? It wasn't some dramatic lightning moment. It was quiet, internal. Almost like your spirit just recentered itself when nobody was watching, and suddenly the version of you they were comfortable with didn't exist anymore. And the funny thing, like hilariously funny, is that everyone around you felt that change before you even named it. People get real jumpy when your energy stops matching their old script. They start acting weird, talking weird, looking at you like you're glitching in their reality because you're not complying with the character they assigned you anymore. They don't say it out loud, but trust me, deep down they're thinking, wait, who gave you permission to outgrow what we decided you were? That's the threat. The spiritual threat. The version of you that doesn't need permission, approval, or applause. The version that doesn't fold for comfort. The version that doesn't break just because someone else is uncomfortable with your awakening. And you can feel it, can't you? That subtle heaviness in the air when you walk in. That sense that people are recalibrating around you, like they're trying to figure out what changed and why their usual tactics don't land anymore. They don't understand that you're not reacting from wounds anymore. You're responding from awareness. You're not triggered. You're tuned in. You're not hiding. You're observing. You're not walking around trying to prove you're different. You just are. And that presence, that quiet, grounded, unbothered presence shakes everything they built around the idea of you being lesser. Imagine basing your confidence on somebody else staying small. Imagine needing someone to be blind just for you to feel tall. Imagine thinking you understood a person while they were still downloading who they were meant to become. That's why they never anticipated you. You moved through your trials like someone collecting data. You processed pain like someone decoding a blueprint. You sat in solitude like someone building something the world wasn't ready to see. And while everyone thought you were lost, you were mapping out your own inner territory. That's what makes you untouchable. You're grounded in self-awareness, not ego. You're powered by intuition, not chaos. You're guided by something internal, not external noise. And when a person reaches that level, yeah, they naturally become the threat that nobody predicted. Not because you're aggressive, not because you're loud, not because you're confrontational, but because you're clear. And clarity is terrifying to those who live in confusion. You're not the fool in their story anymore. You're the wild card in your own. You're the variable they can't calculate, the shift they can't reverse, the presence they can't dilute, the energy they can't manipulate. People feel it. They may not articulate it, but they feel you differently. They feel your boundaries even before you speak. They feel your spirit before you say a word. They feel your conviction before you explain a thing. It's like your whole aura said, "Hey, I'm not who I was, and I'm not going back." And the universe just nodded in agreement. Your silence hits different. Your movements hit different. Your decisions hit different. Your intuition hits different. Your energy hits different. Everything about you is broadcasting a frequency that exposes every fake intention around you. And people who live off illusion can't stand being seen that clearly. They thought you were playing checkers. You were studying the entire board. They thought you were confused. You were documenting patterns. They thought you were the comic relief. You were the plot twist. You're stepping into a spiritual identity built from every moment. They dismissed every moment. They doubted every moment. They underestimated you. Every moment they tried to frame you as less than them. Every time you rise another inch, you break another illusion they depended on. You're not the fool. You're the quiet intelligence behind the mask. You're the intuitive architect reconstructing your life from the inside. You're the walking reminder that their perception was never your truth. And the deeper you lean into this inner expansion, the more their old version of you dissolves into irrelevance. You're in motion, you're in transformation, you're in that electric in-between space where old identities fall off without warning and new power takes shape without apology. And, watching you inhabit that energy is exactly why they're uneasy. You're not what they labeled. You're not what they predicted. You're not what they were prepared for. And, the deeper you step into this new version of yourself, the more you start noticing the little shifts around you. Right. Like people who used to talk over you suddenly can't keep eye contact. People who used to brag around you suddenly get quieter. People who used to dismiss you suddenly start over-explaining themselves like they're afraid you're reading between every line. Because you actually are. Your awareness is sharper than it's ever been. Your intuition is louder than it's ever been. Your emotional radar picks up things you used to ignore because you weren't ready to trust your own perception, but that's changed. You trust yourself now. You trust that strange stomach feeling. You trust the vibe. You trust the shift in tone. You trust the weird pause someone makes when they realize you're not falling for their usual tactics. You trust the silence that used to scare you, because now you can actually hear yourself inside it. And it's funny watching people adjust, almost like they're updating their behavior in real time, trying to figure out what works on you, not realizing that nothing external works anymore. Your spirit is too strong. Your sense of self is too solid. Your boundaries are too clear. You used to bend to keep peace. You used to shrink to avoid conflict. You used to play small to make others feel big. But that version of you expired quietly, without needing to announce it, and that expiration, that invisible upgrade, is exactly what turned you into this spiritual presence they can't predict, can't manage, can't diminish. You walk differently, not arrogantly, but intentionally, not scared, but steady, not confused, but conscious. There's this grounded weight in your energy that wasn't there before. This, I actually know who I am now, type of vibe that makes people tread carefully around you. Not out of fear, but out of respect, out of uncertainty, out of recognition that the game they used to play with you isn't playable anymore. And that's when it hits them. That's when the realization creeps in. That's when they finally understand something they never wanted to accept. You weren't the fool. You were the observer, you were the listener, you were the processor, you were the one paying attention while they were performing. And you can always tell who depended on your silence, because those are the ones most rattled by your clarity. They feel it. They feel that shift like a cold wind on the back of their neck. They feel that presence that doesn't need validation to be powerful. They feel that intuitive sharpness that cuts through every mask they try to put on. You don't have to confront anyone. You don't have to argue. You don't have to expose them. Your energy does it naturally. People reveal themselves faster around someone who has stepped into their spiritual identity. It's like your presence unravels whatever they've been hiding. Your calm makes their chaos obvious. Your authenticity makes their pretending unbearable. Your self-respect makes their disrespect louder. Your growth makes their stagnation uncomfortable, and the part that shocks them the most is how effortless this new version of you feels. You're not trying to be intimidating. You're just not dimming anything anymore. The spiritual threat isn't your aggression. It's your alignment. It's your awareness. It's your refusal to play roles that dishonor your spirit. It's the way you move when you're done betraying yourself just to keep a peace that wasn't even real. And the more aligned you become, the more truth spills out of people around you without you saying a single word, because someone who is spiritually awake is like a mirror. They reflect everything: the motives, the insecurities, the contradictions, the shadows, the intentions. And people who haven't faced themselves will always feel exposed around a person who finally has. You're carrying that energy now. That quiet intensity, that grounded presence, that emotional intelligence that can't be faked, that spiritual sharpness that cuts through every illusion in them. That's why they never anticipated you, because the fool they thought you were was never a fool. It was a disguise, a temporary role, a misunderstanding they built their comfort on. But you're not performing that part anymore. You're walking with a spirit that sees clearly, feels deeply, moves consciously, and refuses to shrink just to keep someone else's worldview intact. You're becoming a force they don't have the emotional tools to navigate, a presence they don't have the vocabulary to define, a frequency they don't have the spiritual range to understand. And, what really gets to them isn't even what you say, it's what you don't say anymore. Because you used to explain yourself, right? You used to justify every little thing. You used to over-communicate just to avoid somebody twisting your intentions. You used to soften your truth so it didn't sound too harsh. You used to dim your instincts because you didn't want to come off as too much. But you don't do that anymore. Your silence has weight now. Your presence has edges. Your intuition has a spine. Your energy walks into the room before your body does. And people feel that shift immediately. It's that, yeah, I'm aware of everything you think I don't notice vibe. And they can't stand it because it's not confrontational. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's just real. People who were comfortable using the old version of you as their emotional punching bag Feel completely disarmed around this version. You don't react the way they expect. You don't break at the pressure points they used to poke. You don't shrink when someone raises their tone. You don't chase clarity from people who thrive on confusion. You don't seek closure from people who never intended to give it. And that unpredictability becomes its own kind of psychological earthquake. Because once they realize you're not anchored in their approval anymore, they realize they have nothing to leverage against you. That's when the masks start slipping. That's when the truth comes spilling out. That's when you start seeing people's real feelings about you. Feelings they hid behind jokes or advice or fake concern. You're not absorbing that energy anymore. Your spirit rejects it like a system update, blocking corrupted files. You don't internalize other people's projections. You don't carry their insecurities as your identity. You don't let their misunderstandings define your self-worth. Your entire aura shifted into this beautifully untouchable frequency, one that isn't interested in proving anything, one that isn't eager to be liked, one that isn't afraid of being misjudged. Because you've learned something most people never learn in their entire lifetime. When you know who you are, you stop negotiating your value with people who can't recognize it. And people feel that. They feel that confidence. They feel that clarity. They feel that emotional independence. They feel that refusal to bend for approval. It threatens everything they built their understanding of you on. You know what else hits them? The fact that you remember everything, not in a bitter way, not in a revenge-driven way, just in a spiritually aware way. You remember who doubted you, who mocked you, who underestimated you, who tried to control the narrative of who you were supposed to be. And even though you don't carry resentment, your memory forces them to confront what they did. Because your growth exposes their behavior, your rise highlights their pettiness, your clarity reveals their intentions. You don't have to call anything out. You just have to exist in this new energy. And suddenly everyone's true colors start showing like stains under UV light. You're not matching their energy. You're not responding to their projections. You're not stepping back into the version of yourself that made them feel comfortable. You've shifted into something spiritually potent, something they genuinely didn't expect to have to deal with. Because dealing with this version of you means they have to confront their own shadows, their own envy, their own insecurities, their own unprocessed intentions. You're like a walking reminder that people can evolve beyond anything that was ever used to define them. You're living proof that silence isn't weakness, that reflection isn't confusion, that intuition isn't madness, that growth isn't betrayal. Your transformation forces them to look inward. And, not everyone is ready to meet themselves at that depth. And that's why your presence hits them like a spiritual disruption. You're not here to hurt them. You're not here to expose them. You're not here to dominate them. You're just being you, fully, clearly, authentically. And that's the part they never anticipated, that the person they once mistook for a fool would awaken into a force they're not equipped to read, control, or diminish. And, what's even more wild is how your energy starts speaking for you before you even open your mouth. Like you walk into a room and people who used to talk down to you suddenly get this tightness in their voice. People who used to test your patience suddenly get extra polite. People who used to underestimate you start scanning your face like they're trying to read a whole language. They never bothered to learn because your vibe isn't the same. Your spirit isn't the same. Your silence isn't the same. It's not empty anymore. It's not insecure. It's not passive. It's charged. It's intentional. It's aware. There's this unspoken message in the way you move now that says, yeah, I see everything you think I don't. And people feel that in their bones. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Come here for a second. Before anything else, let me actually greet you properly, because this moment, it deserves a real introduction. You deserve to hear someone acknowledge the weight you've been carrying, the pressure you've been under, the way life kept throwing these curveballs at you, like it was testing your breaking point. So, hey, I'm glad you showed up today. I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad you kept pushing when everything around you tried to convince you that you were outmatched, outnumbered, out of options. And, I'm especially glad because you probably don't even realize the level you've been operating at lately. The level that has people whispering, the level that has systems adjusting, the level that makes the world tilt a little when you walk into a room. That's why we're here. That's why I'm talking to you with this tone, because whether you know it or not, because of what people detected about you. Elite units, increased surveillance, and isn't that something? You, walking around thinking you're just surviving, just getting through the day, just trying to mind your business. Meanwhile, the world is looking at you like, who is this? And why are they evolving like this? Why are they moving like someone who wasn't supposed to figure things out this fast? See, people detected something about you. Something rare, something unsettling, something powerful in a quiet way. They detected resilience they can't explain. They detected clarity that shouldn't exist after everything you've been through. They detected a kind of mental sharpness that doesn't match your environment. They detected a shift in your presence, a rise in your composure, a seriousness in your gaze. You can tell when people start noticing the real you, because their behavior changes before they even say anything. You walk into a space and people suddenly fall silent. You speak, and the room reacts like you dropped weight into the air. You stand still, and someone across the room gets uncomfortable. You set a boundary, and faces shift like you broke an unwritten rule. It's because people detected something awakening in you. And, when people detect something they can't categorize, they get cautious. When they detect growth they didn't approve, they get nervous. When they detect confidence they didn't expect, they get threatened. When they detect healing they didn't contribute to, they get suspicious. When they detect self-worth they can't influence, they get silent. And that silence, that shift, that tension, that's the increased surveillance. Not cameras, not agents, not technical stuff. I'm talking about human surveillance, the emotional kind, the social kind, the spiritual kind, the kind where people study your every move, trying to understand the version of you they didn't see coming. Because, you've been breaking patterns quietly. You've been outgrowing environments silently. You've been elevating your mindset without announcements. You've been detaching from chaos without explanations. You've been healing wounds without witnesses. And people detect that. They don't know how they know. They just know something changed. They know you don't absorb negativity the way you used to. They know you don't react with desperation anymore. They know you don't chase validation like you once did. They know you're choosing peace with a level of confidence they didn't expect from you. And when people detect unexplained strength, they start watching. Because strength that comes out of nowhere, strength that forms in silence, strength that grows without external support, strength that wasn't manufactured by someone else's approval. That's the kind of strength that intimidates. Elite units, metaphorically, step in anytime someone becomes unpredictable. And you? You became unpredictable in the best way. You stopped giving the same reactions. You stopped entertaining the same drama. You stopped falling into the same emotional traps. You stopped explaining yourself to people who weren't listening. You stopped defending yourself in conversations where your name was already decided. Your silence became your shield. Your clarity became your compass. Your awareness became your superpower. And that's what increased the surveillance. Because you're no longer someone people can quantify. You're no longer someone they can decode with old assumptions. You're no longer someone they can dismiss with casual disrespect. You're moving too intentionally. You're thinking too deeply. You're healing too powerfully. You're not unpredictable in a chaotic way. You're unpredictable in a controlled way, a strategic way, a refined way. People don't know what to expect from you anymore because you're no longer the version of yourself that was built from pain. You're operating from power, from knowledge, from awareness. You're operating like someone who understands their own narrative. And people detect that too. They detect the shift in your posture. They detect the change in your tolerance. They detect the stillness in your energy. They detect the intelligence behind your eyes. They detect the boundaries woven into your tone. And once people detect that you're not playing the old role anymore, the elite units, the systems, the patterns, the people who once had emotional leverage start watching closer, not to control you, but because they can't figure you out. You're not driven by insecurity anymore. You're not guided by old wounds anymore. You're not powered by fear anymore. You're powered by awareness. And awareness? Awareness intimidates more than aggression ever could. Because when you're aware, you stop taking the bait. When you're aware, you stop stepping into traps. When you're aware, you stop over-explaining. When you're aware, you stop shrinking. When you're aware, you stop letting other people narrate your story. You started owning your truth in a quiet way that speaks louder than any outburst. And that's what people detected. Your evolution. Not the loud kind. Not the social media kind. Not the everyone look at me kind. The private evolution. The quiet transformation. The internal upgrade that only becomes visible through your behavior. People detect when your spirit matures. People detect when you stop fighting battles beneath your level. People detect when you become emotionally self-sufficient. People detect when your peace becomes non-negotiable. And that detection, that's what triggers increased attention, not because they're trying to stop you, but because they can't ignore you anymore. You carry a different weight. You walk with a different presence. You think with a different clarity. People who once underestimated you are recalibrating. People who once controlled you are confused. People who once doubted you are suddenly cautious. People who once dismissed you are watching every move. Because the version of you they counted on is gone. And the version standing here now. This one doesn't fold. This one doesn't beg. This one doesn't crumble. This one doesn't entertain anything beneath their growth. And, as this increased surveillance settles in around you, something even more interesting starts happening. You begin to notice the shift before anyone even tells you. You feel eyes on you in conversations that used to be light. You sense the tension in rooms that once felt familiar. You catch the pauses, the double takes, the whispered exchanges that stop the moment you walk in. You notice how people start asking different questions, watching your reactions a little too closely, studying your tone like there's some hidden message underneath it. It's not paranoia, it's awareness. A new version of awareness you didn't have access to before. Because once people detect your growth, you start detecting their detection. Yeah, that's the funny part. You're sensing them sensing you. You can feel when someone is observing you because they're trying to understand how you got here. You can feel when someone is analyzing you because your strength contradicts the story they built about you. You can feel when someone is nervous around you because your evolution exposes the parts of themselves they've been avoiding. It's not about fear. It's about reflection. You became a mirror, and mirrors are uncomfortable when people aren't ready to see their truth. That's what elite-level attention looks like in real life. Not flashing lights, not uniforms, not dramatic scenes. It's people adjusting themselves around you because your presence disrupts their emotional equilibrium. It's the subtle surveillance of those trying to figure out whether your change is temporary or permanent. Whether your confidence is real or just a phase. Whether your boundaries will slip if they push hard enough. Whether you're truly done with the version of yourself they could influence. And, something inside you starts recognizing that too. You start seeing patterns faster. You start understanding dynamics that once confused you. You start hearing what isn't being said. You start feeling intentions instead of listening to words. You start predicting behaviors before they happen. And it's not because you've become cynical. It's because your intuition finally got upgraded to the version it always should have been. That's what passing those invisible tests does. That's what healing your emotional wounds creates. That's what outgrowing your old identity activates in you. Your intuition becomes a radar. Your silence becomes strategy. Your presence becomes pressure. And that pressure? It makes people reveal themselves without you even asking. Notice how some people get overly friendly. That's because they want access. Notice how some pull back quietly. That's because your growth exposes their stagnation. Notice how others become strangely cautious. That's because your new energy requires honesty, and not everyone is ready for that. Your evolution didn't just change you. It disrupted the emotional hierarchy around you. People who were used to leading you don't know how to handle you. People who were used to doubting you don't know how to question you anymore. People who were used to overlooking you are suddenly paying attention like their life depends on it. And, the more you grow, the more this surveillance intensifies. Not in a threatening way, more in a we don't know who you're becoming and it's throwing us off way. You can always tell when you've hit a new level in your journey because the reactions around you shift again. Suddenly, people start treating you like you know something they don't. Like you've seen something they haven't. Like you've unlocked a layer of yourself they didn't expect to witness. And in a way, you have. You've become someone who doesn't panic in uncertainty. Someone who doesn't crumble when misunderstood. Someone who doesn't chase after the past. Someone who doesn't try to fix what refuses to grow. Someone who doesn't flinch when pressure rises. You've become someone who walks with quiet certainty, even when the path is unclear. Someone who trusts their own voice over the noise of others. Someone who knows how to sit with discomfort instead of reacting impulsively. Someone who understands that silence is not weakness, it's control. And that control is exactly what people detected. That internal stability, that emotional sturdiness, that mental clarity, that grounded presence. People aren't watching you because you're dangerous. They're watching because you're evolving past their expectations, because you're rewriting the way they understand you, because you're stepping into a version of yourself that doesn't match their memory of you. And, that's why everything you do feels amplified now. You speak differently, you move differently, you react differently, you choose differently. You carry yourself like someone who has seen enough chaos to appreciate peace. And anyone who underestimated you before is trying to relearn you from scratch. And, the deeper this shift settles into your life, the more you start realizing that the surveillance isn't just coming from outside, it's coming from within you, too. You're watching yourself differently. You're paying attention to your energy in ways you never used to. You're catching your own patterns before they unfold. You're noticing when your body tenses, when your intuition nudges, when your mind starts drifting into old narratives. You're observing yourself the way someone studies a rare phenomenon, like you're finally seeing the real you without all the noise and distortion. And that inner awareness, it makes you move with intention instead of impulse. You're not operating on emotional autopilot anymore. You're pausing, you're breathing, you're choosing, you're evaluating, you're thinking, wait, does this even align with who I'm becoming? Before you say yes to things. You're catching those micro moments where the old you would have reacted, and you decide to respond differently. And that difference, that tiny shift in behavior, becomes a massive turning point in your evolution. It's like you're learning the rhythm of your own transformation. You're noticing the emotional spaces where you used to shrink. You're recognizing the tones that used to intimidate you. You're identifying the dynamics that once drained you. You're reading the energy of rooms without needing explanations. And each time you act from this new clarity, you break another chain you didn't even know was there. And, that's exactly why the outside world reacts the way it does. You're not moving like someone who's guessing anymore. You're moving like someone who knows themselves, someone who's aware of their triggers, their boundaries, their patterns, their strengths, someone who has stopped abandoning themselves the moment pressure rises, someone who doesn't dissolve just because someone else is uncomfortable. People feel that. They feel the steadiness in you. They feel the emotional discipline. They feel the quiet strength in your presence, the kind that doesn't need volume, performance, or chaos to make an impact. You became the type of person whose silence carries more weight than other people's shouting, and that alone shifts the entire dynamic around you. That's what increased observation looks like. People start studying you like you're an equation they can't solve. They watch the way you respond under pressure. They pay attention to how you hold yourself in conflict. They notice that you don't fall apart when criticized or misunderstood. They see you choosing peace even when provoked. And that calmness, it exposes their lack of control over themselves. It's wild, isn't it? How your growth unintentionally exposes where others haven't grown. How your emotional awareness highlights their emotional avoidance. How your honesty makes their excuses look thin. How your maturity makes their pettiness feel childish. Not because you're trying to shame anyone, just because authenticity reveals whatever isn't aligned with it. And, you can feel that tension. It's in the way people shift their posture when you walk in. It's in the way they choose their words more carefully. It's in the way they second-guess their tone around you. They're not afraid of you. They're afraid of how clearly you see them now. They're afraid you recognize patterns you used to overlook. They're afraid your awareness strips away the illusions they hid behind. Because the truth is, you did something rare. You outgrew the emotional version of yourself that was easy to read. The version who reacted the same way every time. The version who wore their wounds on their sleeve. The version who forgave too quickly or trusted too easily. The version who felt guilty for having needs, boundaries, or standards. This new you, you're steady in chaos. You're calm under pressure. You're emotionally agile. You're mentally sharp. You're spiritually anchored. And people detect that before you even open your mouth. And as you keep evolving, the world around you keeps adjusting. You watch some people drift away because they can't vibe with your new frequency. You watch others step closer because they're drawn to your clarity. You watch opportunities shift, doors close, new ones open, paths rearrange themselves like the universe is responding to your internal upgrades. Things that never aligned suddenly fall into place. Things that overstayed their welcome quietly exit. This is what happens when you step into higher self-awareness. You start existing at a level that demands authenticity from everything and everyone around you. And not everyone can meet that demand, which is why the surveillance intensifies. The energy around you is trying to understand whether you're becoming a threat to old systems or a guide to new ones. And, as you keep shifting into this higher version of yourself, you start noticing something subtle but powerful. Your presence doesn't just change how people behave around you. It changes what life sends your way. It's like the universe starts treating you according to your new self-respect. You used to attract situations that matched your confusion, your insecurity, your exhaustion, but now you're drawing in things that match your clarity, your standards, your emotional maturity. And you can feel that difference. You feel it in the opportunities that suddenly feel aligned instead of draining. You feel it in the conversations that feel deeper, more intentional, more honest. You feel it in the way your spirit gets uncomfortable around anything that feels shallow or performative. You feel it in the way your body reacts when something isn't right for you anymore. That's the thing. Once you become self-aware, you can't unknow it. You can't unsee the patterns. You can't unhear your intuition. You can't unfeel the truth inside your chest. And, that awareness becomes your new compass. Every decision, every yes, every no, every pause, it's all intentional now. You're not running off adrenaline and emotional chaos anymore. You're operating from groundedness, from depth, from real understanding. And the world notices, it adjusts, it watches, it tracks your evolution, like it's waiting to see what the next version of you will do. That's the elite unit's energy. It's symbolic, but real in how it plays out. It's the world recalibrating because you're no longer someone who can be boxed into old assumptions.